Good morning. Welcome to another Wine Steward video. Let me prove that it's a Wine Steward video. Cheers. That's a wine from Portugal. We don't feature those very often, and I'm going to be telling you about it, our wine of the week. But first, let's tell you about an event that's happening next Wednesday. Wednesday of next week is our annual Sideways Country event. What is Sideways Country? It is the area especially remembered to some of you by the movie Sideways, which came out way back in 2004. Can you believe it? And it really helped Pinot Noir get off the ground in the market, and it utterly destroyed Merlot. As most of us know, if we've seen the movie, we can remember the famous utterance against Merlot. Poor Merlot. Let's make Merlot great again, shall we? But in the meantime, let's consider attending next Wednesday evening's Sideways Country event. We do this every year, like I said, and typically I gather from tasting impressions of the last 3 months, wine ideas for this event that come from that guy, that gal, those people. In other words, it's a multi-vendor event. They won't be here because I'm only going to be representing maybe 1 or 2 wines from each of those people. But the cool thing is I'm in the so-called catbird seat, as James Thurber would have called it in his little short story by the same name, in that I'm at a distinctive point of advantage, or a place of advantage, in that I get to try so many darn wines from so many great people. And as long as I can read the writing in my tasting notebook, I am able to go back a few months, go through the pages and say, yeah, I thought that would be great for the Sideways Country event when I had it 3 months ago, and so on. So anyway, that is how we are finding the wines for this Santa Barbara County Sideways Country event. And the cool thing is we're going to have a special guest who's going to represent 5 wines from his winery there, a winery that I am very aligned with for more than one reason, which will be explained that evening. But good people, essentially making very, very good wine, mostly in the Santa Rita Hills part of Santa Barbara County, but also in the Happy Canyon of Santa Barbara part of Santa Barbara County. Yes, that's the full name of that AVA, Happy Canyon of Santa Barbara. I think they could have just called it Happy Canyon, but I'll bet maybe there's another Happy Canyon AVA somewhere else in the United States, and so they couldn't. I digress. We are going to represent Dragonette Winery 5 different ways that evening, and Brandon Sparks Gillis himself will be here. He's one of the 2 partners, founding winemakers of this place called Dragonette. Small winery making very, very good stuff. He will be here representing those 5 wines and probably chiming in on Santa Barbara County in general, because in as much as I love the area and have been there a lot and like to talk about it and often lead these events, he's going to be better at it than me. So I hope he will actually comment throughout the event, whereas I will moderate and kind of lead it anyway. It's going to be cool. We're going to go all over the place as far as variety. You would anticipate there being Pinot Noir, and of course there will be very beautiful Pinot Noir, perhaps from Santa Maria Valley, perhaps from Santa Rita Hills, definitely from Santa Rita Hills, including this one from Dragonette. And there will certainly be Sauvignon Blanc from Dragonette, because that's one of their specialties. Can you believe it? They make 4 different Sauvignon Blancs every year. One is a vineyard blend, and the other 3 are vineyard designates, all from Happy Canyon of Santa Barbara. Really cool place in the world for Sauvignon Blanc. And these guys, Brandon and John, realized that many years ago. And so they have a very strong Sauvignon Blanc program. And we're going to have so many great wines: Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Syrah. And as a matter of fact, I really want to pour this. This is an indication of the fact that we still love Stolpman, and we will be representing almost certainly this Syrah from Stolpman Vineyards that evening. This is from Ballard Canyon. All these place names I'm mentioning are within the general area of Santa Barbara County, and we'll be discussing that evening. Like, what's the best place for the Rhone varieties in Santa Barbara County? What's the best place for Pinot and Chardonnay? And how about Syrah? And how about, hey, can there be Cabernet in Santa Barbara County? There is, and maybe we'll pour some of that. But this is good old Stolpman back on the shelf and returning to our event, certainly. The cool thing is we're also going to have a Stolpman Vineyard Syrah made by Dragonette. So I don't think we'll have them side by side. I don't want to have a beauty contest. They're both beautiful. And I don't really like it when people are saying, oh, I like this one better than that one. That's bullshit. You're supposed to like them both because we chose them for you. So anyway, that is the gist of what we're doing next Wednesday evening, 6:30 p.m. You can go to thewinesteward.com to sign up today And I hope we sell this sucker out because this is a very, very deserving wine subject. Santa Barbara County, Sideways Country, let's do it again. What else shall we talk about? Why don't we bring up now our wine of the week, which I was sipping a few minutes ago, maybe a couple hours ago, based on the length of this video. Quite lovely. There's fruit. There's also some more mysterious foresty qualities going on in this red wine. Maybe as well, red citrus. I know pomegranate isn't a citrus fruit necessarily, but it has a red color, big time, and citric qualities. So I think pomegranate and blood orange are happening in this wine. What is Jim talking about here? It's this wine where the label is actually made of cork. That's to honor the fact that Portugal is the greatest, largest producer of corks in the world. Did you know that? And not far from there is this capital city of Portugal called Lisbon, Lisboa, they call it there. And just west of there, closer to the beach, in fact, virtually on the beach in very, very sandy soil, grow these vines, these Ramisco vines, not Romesco, that's a sauce. Ramisco is a grape variety, one of the Vitis vinifera, just like Chardonnay, Cabernet, and other things you know a little bit better than Ramisco. And the situation out there is very, very unique. It's very, very windy, based on weather systems coming in from the Atlantic, very windy. And a vine wouldn't normally like that, and so these vines are protected by all these twiggy or bamboo fences, and the vines are allowed to crawl along the ground rather than being supported and being up higher. So they're somewhat protected by the wind. They're protected by phylloxera, the root louse, by virtue of the fact that they are grown in sand. Sandy soil is the top soil there. Maybe it goes down a few feet or several feet, and then the clay, because a vine would not survive in pure sand alone. So it does finally find water-bearing clay and a little more nutrients once the roots get down there. The grape Ramisco, ungrafted, it may be the only ungrafted Vitis vinifera grape left in the world. And you would say, well, what if they grew it in Napa? Well, they don't. In fact, they probably don't grow it anywhere else in the world, but here in this area called Chartreuse. Chartreuse is the wine appellation for this wine just west of Lisbon, or Lisboa, and very, very near the beach, virtually on the beach, as I said, growing in sandy soil. Ancient vines, and a very, very pleasant wine. We don't talk about Portuguese wine often enough, but we just landed a couple. In fact, let's put this up here too, because both of these are represented in our red wine flight at the wine bar this weekend. So this is our wine of the week because it's fun to talk about and delicious. And this may be a little more familiar to you coming from the Douro Valley of Portugal, best known for its production of port, the fortified sweet wine, but beautiful dry reds happen there as well. And this is a beauty. It's a blend of Touriga Franca, Touriga Nacional, Tinta Roriz, and there's something else in there I can't remember right now. But it's kind of this begins the flight, this ends the flight. In between you have wine from Bordeaux and Spain and the northern Rhone of France. So a fun flight, red flight awaits you, including the wine of the week, a cork label. Come try this very delicious Ramisco. It's delicious and yet it's very unfamiliar to you, right? And the flavors, I think, the more you sniff it, the more you find in this earthy, foresty, fruity, a wine that you probably want to have at cellar temperature, not at room temperature. Anyway, I'm keen on this week. I'm generally keen on our most recent finds, can't you tell? Most excited about those. Well, here's a most recent acquisition, I should call it, because we only get one of these per month. So who's up for Chartreuse? Do you want this one bottle, this monthly allocation of ours? This is not inexpensive, but it's highly sought for. You might be making a cocktail called The Last Word and realize you need to have Chartreuse to make it accurately. And well, we've got this one bottle. Why is it so rare? Well, the craft cocktail movement that erupted a few years ago, as well as the fact that the Carthusian monks in France who make this, they're the only ones doing it, decided that they would rather pray than over make this. So it's in fact made by them, and they've decided to limit production of Chartreuse. So this very coveted spirit is available in the form of one bottle right now. If we run out, then let's talk about next month's allocation, all right? Chartreuse in the house, right now at least. A couple more things to talk about, just to show you our diversity. How about this? These are extremely affordable and very delicious and very, very lightly, how do we do this? Anyway, you get the idea. Little technical difficulties here. These, I don't even know where in Italy they're from, but they come all the way from Italy and they are delicious and they're very, very light. They're not dense and heavy and plotting. You want to keep eating them. And basically, because they're so inexpensive, you can. We were having these on Easter and they're just like, they do, as you can see, come in different flavors. I have the cocoa up here and the lemon. There's also hazelnut and I think vanilla downstairs. But get in on these guys, the name of which I can't remember. Montepolino wafers. Really, really good. You know those, that Mother's brand of cookies that we used to eat and we wouldn't dare eat them nowadays? We don't know what's in that stuff. This is a better version of that. Those wafer cookies, if you know what I mean. They came in pink. Who knows what made them pink? They came in, I think, vanilla and cocoa. Just forget those. Do these. Montepolino. I'll remember the name next time. I want to tell you about one more wine. How about that? And then let you off the hook here. Last night we had an event, a private event. You can do that here. We have birthdays, but more often actually corporate events. And in fact, a group from Workday was here for all of an hour and a half or so before they headed down the street to have dinner. So they just did appetizers here and a very nice wine lineup. Some people wanted beer on tap. And by the way, the beer machine works again. So we're back in the beer biz. You can come up and have a beer if you're not in the mood for wine tonight. And then what else did they have? We had some non-alcohol offerings and so on. But we had a beautiful wine lineup, including this. And the cool thing is they had to get the hell out of here. They saw their dinner reservation approaching on their watches and they headed down the street. And they left behind virtually a whole glass of this for me. Oh, here it is. Oh, Kulmen. So this is called Kulmen, and that's simply the nickname of a wine from a producer called LAN, L-A-N, is this producer in Rioja, Spain. And this is their culmination, their top wine, you might call it, Kulmen. It's a beauty. It likes air, and this bottle did not regret not having a cork in it all night long while that final glass of wine worth of wine sat in there on the bar. And I happily found it this morning. And I'm always curious about how things weather over, you know. It's an indication of how well a wine will age. If you maybe accidentally leave that bottle open overnight and check it out the next day, and if it's even better, if it's even more open, that's an indication of a long aging wine, a wine with durability. This has it. This is Tempranillo plus, I believe, Masuelo and maybe some Graziano. Those are, well, Masuelo is Carignan and Graziano is Graziano. But Tempranillo is the main beast here, along with a very healthy dollop of French oak. American oak is often used by these folks, but in this case for the culmination, it's all French oak. I'm only bringing it up here because I am identifying another, 4 or 5 bottles down there on the shelf. You who love Spanish wine deserve some of this for now or for later. If you have it now, put it in a decanter or leave the cork out of the bottle overnight. Wood and Tempranillo get along very well. Some people say, oh, we shouldn't over oak things. Well, Tempranillo needs its oak, in my opinion, and in the opinion of most winemakers at Tempranillo. So there's no shortage of that going on here, but it's a luxurious wine, luxurious in that it has that beautiful vanilla from the oak, along with plum, maybe some tobacco. It's a couch wine. It kind of smells like a leather couch in a good way. When's the last time you buried your face in a couch? Maybe after a long night of Kulmen, right? Oh, that's very good. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please consider signing up for the Sideways Country event. And just to let you know, when you do go to the experiences page of thewinesteward.com, you will see that another event is also offered, also using the word side, and that's 1 week later, happening down the street at Sidetrack. Yes, we're having our annual walk-around tasting there, where lucky attendees will be tasting at different tables and enjoying some of the food of Sidetrack as well. And Primrose Bakery, I think, is in on this one as well. So lots of tasty things, a partnering event with our friends down the street, and so you can sign up for that as well. Do things on the side twice. Have a good one. Thanks so much, and see you very soon. We certainly hope.